Tim Hensley here with the Urban Homestead, Bristol, Virginia. Our website is www.oldvaapples.com. I wanted to give a quick talk on 5 early apples. I have here the Walker Pippin. We have the Ginger Gold, which is a newer apple. This is an old, Walker's an old southern apple. Ginger Gold is a newer apple out of Livingston, Virginia. Clyde and Ginger Harvey is a chance seedling on their farm, and thought to be a cross of Albemarle Pippin and Golden Delicious, I believe. We have here also the Bevan's Favorite, and I believe we're going to have some mowers out here next door, so we may have a little competition for volume. But the Bevan's Favorite is another old southern apple. I believe it originated up in Massachusetts perhaps, but or New Jersey, but was propagated in the South for many years and then sort of fell into disuse. Then we have the Rabbit Sweet, and I've already sliced one of these. Rabbit Sweet comes to us from Mr. Tom Brown of Clemens, North Carolina. And then we have the Williams Pride, which is a newer apple, a newer disease-resistant apple out of the PRI program, and it's billed as a replacement for the Carolina Red June, which does have some susceptibility to fire blight, even though it's been grown all over the South for many years. So I wanted to sample some of these and give a few comments to help maybe help you make your mind up about trying some of these older varieties. This is the Walker's Pippin. There's another variety called the Walker's Yellow that may be the same apple. We're not quite sure. I believe Walker's Yellow was supposed to ripen later in the season, and our Walker's Pippin is ripening here in the middle of July, and I think by the end of the month all the apples will be off. It's a very productive tree. The apples are quite large. We've pruned it, newly pruned this tree this year, but it's a mild sweet apple. And so perhaps if these ripen a little bit longer, or we catch them a little bit further into the season, they'll have a richer flavor. But there's the trade-off: productivity and large fruit, and you have to put up with that mild flavor. So if you're looking for a very productive early apple, you might want to try the Walker's Pippin. Here is the Ginger Gold, and as I said, thought to be a cross of Albemarle Pippin, maybe the Golden Delicious, or I believe I said that earlier. And Ginger Gold's being pushed by Adams County Nursery. I believe they have exclusive propagation rights. I got my tree from them. And this is a high-flavored apple, especially for an early or middle season variety. I think the folks at Adams County are pushing it as perhaps a replacement for or an early version of the Golden Delicious. Here's the Bevan's Favorite. This tree, we could say, was rescued by Mr. Lee Calhoun, who wrote the book Old Southern Apples. He found a tree of the Bevan's Favorite. I think it was called Bevan's, B-I-V-I-N-S, locally, and he connected the dots and decided that this was the Bevan's Favorite. Found on a farm belonging to Mr. E. Lloyd Curl. He took scions, and then a few months later the tree blew over, and that was the end of it. It may be, as is the case often with these rescues, that the tree actually existed in someone else's orchard, and perhaps we dramatize these rescues too much, but it could be too that this was the very last tree. And here's a variety that's good high flavor. It's got a good firm flesh about it. But Calhoun notes that if you leave this apple on the tree after its peak, or if you pick them and let them sit around, they tend to get mealy. And I've already sampled some of these, and it's true. Some that we picked a few days ago were already beginning to get mealy. Here is the Rabbit Sweet. This is a local apple, as far as I know. Comes to us from Mr. Tom Brown, who's doing a great deal of work in fleshing out these apples and beating the bushes, visiting lost orchard or forgotten orchards, and inquiring here and there to find out what he can about this tree or that. And he's come upon a rabbit sweet. And here's a smooth apple with a fine grained flesh. And this has a different sort of flavor. It's maybe an anise flavor, a little bit of a licorice flavor to it. A nice early apple. I would think that this is good for just dessert eating, for fresh eating. I'd slice it for the table. And then the last one we come to today is this red, not the Red Free, but the Williams Pride. Again, it's billed as a replacement for the Carolina Red June, coarse flesh, no disease on the tree. The apple has a bloom, looks like a white dust on it when you first pick it, and a very productive variety, quite tart, and maybe this early one, it's not going to have the flavor that the later apples will have. But 5 early apples: Walker, Ginger Gold, Rabbit Sweet, Bevan's Favorite, and the Williams Pride. And I'm Tim Hensley. It's Urban Homestead. Our website is www.oldvaapples.com.